Welcome to the latest series by Alchemunity, a thought-provoking program on the topic of research marketing and how it can underpin the ultimate content strategy. Before we begin, a brief introduction. I'm Alex, former CRO and CMO at RubyLaw. I'm currently the principal at Alchemunity, where I advise and consult with high-growth companies on all things go-to-market. I take particular interest in galvanizing people and processes to deliver more meaningful, engaging, retention-building customer experiences. Over the course of this series, we'll touch on the following: how to define research marketing, how research marketing fits into go-to-market or GTM, my hypothesis around research marketing and content strategy, what, using an illustrative example, research marketing can look like, how to get started, and then some parting words and thoughts. During this section, we'll look at how to define research marketing. Research marketing, as I like to define it, is primary research deployed as a marketing vehicle. It has to meet three criteria. One, it's scientific, so it's data-driven, and the findings are systematic, objective, and reliable. Two, it's consumable, meaning it's packaged for a target audience to receive and digest. Three, it's compelling. It has to not only be digestible for your target audience, it has to be meaningful. And for it to be meaningful, it has to deliver value, which in turn better enables sales. It'll also yield tangible and intangible benefits. And why don't we take a look at what it looks like? Here are some examples from familiar global brands that you'll recognize, and perhaps you even consume these reports. Here's an example from 6 Sense, a venture-backed SaaS company that puts an enormous effort into research marketing. But it's not only global and rapidly scaling venture-backed companies, it's also companies like RubyLaw, where I was previously leading go-to-market efforts that successfully deploy research marketing. It's also worth mentioning that while I won't be sharing much about research marketing at RubyLaw during this series, the hypothesis that I'll present later in the program is backed by data collected from the highly successful RubyLaw Legal Marketing Technology Ecosystem Insights Initiative. During this section, we'll look at how research marketing fits into go-to-market. At the very highest level, an organization will have a business strategy, which is going to consist of its goals, objectives, and priorities. Then we're going to go down to the market strategy, which will encompass ICP, buyer personas, and the value proposition. The next layer of our framework is the go-to-market motion. It's going to consist typically of sales, marketing, customer success, particularly in SaaS, and partnerships. Research marketing lives here within marketing. Specifically, it falls under programs. And when I design marketing budgets, I think of them as having three categories: people, programs, and tech, and content strategy sits within programs. All content strategies consist of different types of content, and these categories in the chart reflect them in aggregate. I'll also state that I'm going to touch later on AI, and these percentages that you're seeing reflect a blend based on information sourced by ChatGPT from publicly available materials on content segmentation. The takeaway here is less about the veracity of the percentages than the various content buckets, but it's always fun to look at the percentages as well. The various types of content get packaged up and shipped out via campaigns. And here's an example of some of the specific assets that Adobe delivers via its campaigns. I'm an Adobe customer, and these campaigns reflect Adobe's varied efforts to educate me on how to better use its products, to entice me to try some of its other products, and for me as a customer to provide feedback. The campaigns typically adhere to some content or editorial calendar, as you see, and the packaged material is distributed across a temporal landscape, targeted people that should be getting whatever that team or brand is sharing. The temporal or time-bound piece is important as we move to align our plans with those of our prospective buyers who are on their respective journeys. The visual shown represents the bow tie model as developed by Winning by Design. To keep things simple, if you've never seen this, to the left of mutual commit, in the middle, you'll note the inverted version of the traditional marketing funnel. What this flipped version is expressing is the potential for growth and expansion within the existing customer base. During this section, we'll examine my hypothesis. Does research marketing provide an efficient path to accelerate pipeline, enhance brand reputation, fuel a content flywheel, and increase lifetime value? I believe the answer is yes. Further, I believe it represents a holistic approach to lifecycle marketing that, if done well, will drive net revenue retention. And I believe that it also straddles the various segments of content, and it can be educational, it can be promotional, it can be entertaining, therefore making it highly efficient. So if we think of it this way, as an overlay or an ingredient, research marketing starts to show up in our existing campaigns. It can trickle in over time and reinforce our existing marketing efforts. It can then amplify all touch points along the buyer journey. During this section, we'll explore an illustrative example using a fictitious software company called BeanThere. I created BeanThere with the help of ChatGPT. Before we apply research marketing to BeanThere, it's important to understand what BeanThere's business is all about. With this grounding, the overlay of research marketing will be better understood. So over the next few slides, we'll provide an overview, the ideal customer profile or ICP, buyer personas for who would likely purchase BeanThere's offering. We'll craft a value proposition, outline a typical content calendar, and then we'll infuse research marketing into the GTM approach. So a little bit about BeanThere. It's a software company dedicated to revolutionizing inventory management for North American commercial coffee roasters. Its software is designed for businesses with significant production and shipping volumes, and it helps them ensure product freshness through more efficient warehouse practices. BeanThere's software helps coffee roasters manage inventory traceability, waste reduction, and product quality through seamless integration with existing logistics systems and user-friendly interfaces. This table highlights BeanThere's ICP, summarized in this table and described succinctly as North American coffee roasting companies with 5 to 20 years of operations experience and up to 200 employees with between $10 and $50 million in annual revenues. These, from the perspective of BeanThere, would meet the threshold to require BeanThere's inventory management software. With respect to buyer personas, one of the primary members of the buying committee is the CEO of the roastery, who's focused on maximizing inventory efficiency, controlling costs, and scaling the roastery's operations. Again, here's a table that explores the CEO's role in decision-making, key objectives, pains, and concerns, as well as purchasing criteria. We can assume the buying committee also includes warehouse managers, roasters, and any technologists overseeing information security and software purchasing and integration. Next, BeanThere's value proposition. So BeanThere is unique given its exclusive focus on commercial coffee roasting businesses. It guarantees a fast, disruption-free installation process with extensive integration capabilities with the industry's preferred logistics systems. BeanThere complements its high-quality, scalable software with best-in-class customer support, all yielding greater customer confidence in the freshness of their beans. So to bring it all together using the earlier frameworks in terms of strategic priorities, BeanThere is out to revolutionize inventory management for North American commercial coffee roasters. At the go-to-market level, BeanThere provides tangible ROI to coffee roasters through efficient and scalable inventory management software. And then regarding go-to-market motions, BeanThere leverages talented people across sales, marketing, and customer success teams to bring the offering to its addressable market. Drilling into the content strategy within marketing, the business runs a multitude of campaigns intended to reach prospects and existing customers through insights and product newsletters, blogs, articles, and white papers. These are also reinforced across the customer lifecycle through educational webinars to enrich the client experience. Each of the respective assets are delivered according to a content calendar and a particular cadence, with a representative version supplied here. And of course, note this is all before or separate from any true research marketing efforts, which will serve as the status quo leading into our infusion of research marketing into BeanThere's overall approach to GTM. During this section, we'll continue with our illustrative example using a fictitious software called BeanThere. Now that we're familiar with BeanThere, let's incorporate the concept of research marketing into our GTM. After significant brainstorming, we've come up with a topic that meets our criteria, a study focusing on freshness and traceability within the overall coffee supply chain. The hearty title of our study will be The Evolution of Freshness and Traceability Standards in Coffee Supply Chains. And it's going to examine the challenges, opportunities, and innovations for various stakeholders, including growers, roasters, warehouse managers, regulatory bodies, and industry associations across the coffee supply chain. We believe it's going to meet our three-part criteria that it be scientific, consumable, and compelling. And as a caveat, I'll mention that all of this is for illustrative purposes, so the logos on this page are only intended to prove out the concept. Our initiative will have the following objectives: to identify current practices in freshness and traceability at every stage of the coffee supply chain, extending beyond our addressable market and buyer personas; to assess the impact of regulations on storage and warehouse practices, again, a broader basis than the more narrow realm of our software; to evaluate advancements in technology for improving traceability and freshness management, giving BeanThere some built-in mechanisms to collect competitive intelligence and ideas for further product development; to determine stakeholder needs and gaps between existing practices and desired outcomes, another mechanism to better understand customer satisfaction or the lack thereof; and finally, to predict future trends in freshness standards and sustainability. Our audience for this effort will consist of our target market, roasters and warehouse managers, but also coffee growers, industry associations, and regulatory bodies. We can also consider including coffee consumers if there's value, and of course, if it's cost effective. What we're seeing here is an example of some of the specific study survey-based questions that we might ask around this in order to achieve our objectives. Skipping ahead, let's assume that we're going to deploy our survey, its questions. The concept is going to be grappled that we have a way of successfully reaching our target audience. We're then going to analyze the results, synthesize the findings, and then generate insights, all packaged up in a detailed report and a complimentary insights webinar. These will be promoted and presented via a standalone dedicated campaign for the research marketing initiative itself. And in addition to the standalone campaign, we allocated space in our existing campaigns to promote, mention, and share findings and updates on the research study. This is going to give BeanThere additional mechanisms through which to deliver value, to entice and inform new prospects and existing customers, and to lessen the overall burden on content creation. Again, what we're showing here are paragraphs, sections, topics, and programs that incorporate the research into our existing campaigns. Here's how it looks integrated into an updated content calendar for BeanThere, trickling into the various lifecycle marketing campaigns, meaning it's touching prospects and existing customers. It's going to hit all stages of the buyer and customer journey, amplifying everything from top-of-funnel demand generation to post-sale enrichment and lifetime value. During this section, we'll share our Quickstart guide so you can begin your journey with research marketing. First, identify a burning question or issue. The criteria should allow for intersection with your ICP and the pains of your buyer personas. But it also has to serve a higher purpose, one that has meaning above a problem that your product or service solves. And it should be viewed through the lens of your existing GTM strategy. Don't create something net new that distracts from your existing priorities. Make it complementary. In the case of Being There, we found a sufficiently broad topic that involved our ICP, but also stakeholders above and beyond. Step 2, design the research concept. Here, you'll want to start simple and work your way backwards. What's the goal? What's the output going to be? Are we asking something, and what is it? What are we answering? Do we know how many inputs we're going to need? Do we know how we're going to record responses? You may need to start at a very grassroots level with informal conversations with industry peers and customers and asynchronous feedback by email. Version 2.0 could be more formal. You might move from an unstructured feedback mechanism into a type form survey or similar. You might also consider a hybrid approach, incorporating structured questions into your sales discovery calls or any regularly occurring customer prospect touchpoint. This could be akin to the typical marketing effectiveness question of how did you hear about us at the beginning or the end of a call. Step 3, develop the campaign. Now we've got our idea, we know what we want to accomplish. Let's outline the plan and ask ourselves, what are we going to do to generate awareness about this? What's our proposed marketing strategy for the campaign itself? What are we going to do? How long will it run? Then, how are we going to translate our inputs to outputs? Will we write a paper? Will we deliver a presentation? Next, let's bring everyone together. Are we ready? Who's doing what? How are we going to get this out? Next, my favorite part, building and deploying it. That means developing the survey instrument, making trade-offs between length and depth, testing it, and soliciting opinions. Having outside eyes is really important for anything, but especially to ensure clarity and understanding. There's nothing worse than putting all of the work in, getting responses, and then not be able to draw reliable or concrete conclusions. It means building all the campaign assets and then sending them out into the world. And that includes the creative, the copywriting, the advertising, the promotions, multimedia, social media, and pressing the big red button, launch. Think ahead too. In subsequent years of my own research marketing initiatives, I created sub-brands and utilized templates to allow for greater efficiency and scalability. And this is critical for small teams in particular, repeatability and plug and play. Step 5, analyze, share, and analyze. The first level of analysis is around fielding the results and synthesizing what you get and then producing those assets. Do that and share them, meaning assess the survey responses against the narrative of your hypothesis. Does it stand up? What can we conclude about the responses? Then package the findings up into determined outputs, reports, webinars, infographics, etc. The next level of analysis happens at 30,000 feet. Were we successful? Did we achieve our goal per step 2? Did it have impact? Should we do it again? And then, I think over time, it's not only asking, should we do it again, but thinking about partners with whom to work so that it can be bigger, better, and have greater impact. So what about AI? Can it be additive? Yes, it absolutely can be. Leaning on AI is effective for supporting aspects of research marketing, and even just marketing with a lowercase m. I believe that AI can be a useful thought partner. It can be an accelerant. It can synthesize and aggregate, but I think we all want to be very careful. People can still see it and recognize it. Don't have it do all the work, and make sure that you're fielding the primary data directly from respondents. AI can scrape very effectively from publicly available sources, which is how I pulled together segments of the content strategy and pulled together materials for Being There. For research marketing, though, I would still go out there and get it. The process of doing it actually enables you to facilitate relationship building, having legitimate interactions with people, and connecting with customers and even prospects that may become future customers. It also provides a topic and rationale for establishing connections with people, that being the research marketing itself, including prospects, without having them raise their "don't try to sell me anything" shields. Importantly, I like to follow this mantra, and I don't know how catchy it is, but take the AI out of primary. During this section, we'll share some parting words and perhaps a thought or two. To summarize, here are some important considerations. Research marketing can be hugely beneficial, especially for SaaS businesses with an interest and appetite to lean into content more deeply. I view it as a pipeline driver, a value enhancer, a brand awareness builder, a channel partner maker, and possibly even an alternate revenue source, all while inviting an efficient tactic to the broader marketing play. That is why I view it as the ultimate content strategy. I'd like to invite you to book a complimentary 30-minute session with me, and we can talk about some burning questions and hot issues that you might convert into a research marketing program. I'll ask you to share detail on your ICP, buyer personas, and value propositions so that I can come to that conversation informed and ready to move the needle for you. You can feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn to set up that session. I'll also share with you some data and insights from past campaigns that I've run, and I'm also happy to share with you a packet on Being There that you can use as a guide to take your next steps with research marketing entirely on your own. And with that, I say thank you, appreciate your attention, and I trust that you will be able to take research marketing and underpin your content strategy to provide the ultimate results that you possibly can. Thanks again.